We really enjoy them for reasons such as safety and economics both.
I like feeding. I used to feed all the time years ago with horses. That's all we had to feed with, and you get used to that.
And in the wintertime, we get very deep snow up here in occasions of 2.5 feet at times, generally about 1.5 feet. These horses get around much better than a tractor does. We only have a 2-wheel drive tractor on the ranch. And these horses, I haven't been stuck in the last 3 winters with them.
We used to feed to the tractor and then a pickup, and this is kind of a mud hole down here, so we switched to a team about 6 years ago, I guess.
They're very dependable. They'll always start.
You get around nicer with them. I don't know, I like it.
Well, this winter, I had a gas delivery in late October of last year, and up to the first day of March, I used 56 gallons of fuel on this total ranch outfit, feeding approximately 300 head of cattle.
Although they really have no way to know about it, these two big guys seem to sense Alan Mulkey's 2 generations of experience with draft horses. Alan's dad started it all when Alan was just a baby buckaroo. As the boy grew, Arthur Mulkey passed on a lifetime of knowledge and experience, and Alan has been adding to it ever since. More than 20 years ago, about the time he started shaving, Alan spent a solitary winter in Canada, feeding 300 head of cattle with a team of horses. They were his only friends, and they were good ones. Later, in the early 70s, Alan learned the joys of logging with horses. For 10 years, he worked with horses in the woods, while he raised Percherons and Belgians for work and show. Now, Alan's partners are Prince and Dick, and the 2 big horses feed 750 head of cattle on the Bar 71 Ranch in Central Oregon. The work goes on for 5 or 6 hours every day throughout the long winter and spring. The rest of the year, Prince and Dick help irrigate meadows, yard posts and poles for corrals, and provide transportation to far corners of the ranch. The reasons why Alan feeds with horses are becoming well known throughout the country, and as a result, more and more people are using horses to do the work that tractors, trucks, and other petroleum-powered machinery used to do. Some ranchers and loggers are just starting an acquaintance with big horses. Others have been using them for years, but each has his own personal reason for being in the relationship. And it seems like that's what comes out of it when a man gets to know his horses, a relationship. In Alan Mulkey's case, it has something to do with history.
I don't even remember the first draft horse I ever saw. I was pretty young. They've always been a part of my life, and I've always loved them. For a while there, we didn't hear much about draft horses, but now, for lots of good reasons, they're making a comeback. As people learn to understand them, we'll see more and more working draft horses, and I'd like to be a part of that. We're going to explain the parts of the harness. I'm sure a lot of you know the parts already, and some of you may not be familiar with the pieces. This here's the bridle. These are the blinders. This is to block the vision toward the rear. This is the bit, of course. This here's the throat latch. These here are the draw reins. This is the collar, goes around the neck. This is the collar pad. It's lined with hair. This here is the hame. There's a hame strap on the top and on the bottom. This is the breast strap, pole strap. This is a tug. This here is the line. It's full length, goes the outside of the horse. This is the check, comes across to your other horse. And this is a spreader. I use leather spreaders. We started some colts this winter, and these are real stout. The porcelain spreaders sometimes can crack and break and give you just enough slack to give you problems. This here is the back band. This is the billet. This is the belly band. These are the quarter straps. And this is the breeching. And from here back's the breeching pads. This is the lazy strap. And this is the butt chain hook. And those are the basic parts of the harness. If you're going to have draft horses, it's important to have good equipment and keep it up in top shape. Your harness, if you just take a little needs foot oil on a rag and wipe it down, keeps it pliable and helps the life of the harness. The bits, if it's real cold, it sure makes it a lot more comfortable for the horse if you take them in the house, keep them warm, or if you can't do that, put them in your pickup on the dashboard and the defroster and warm it up good for the horse. Now we're ready to start harnessing the horses. First thing we start out with is the collar. This is the collar. It's a 26-inch collar. This is the pad. This is a 28-inch pad. When you order your pads, get them 2 sizes bigger than your collars. In the spring of the year, you get hair buildup on these pads. Check them, make sure they're clean, no hair buildup so you don't get a sore. The draft horses, they'll vary in weight sometimes and depending on the season. And we'll take these pads out and just work them with the collars until we get them worked down a little bit again. And check your collars, make sure there's no buildup. Wipe them down with your glove every day and keep them nice and smooth and slick. Whoa, Dick. When you approach your horse, always speak to him so you don't startle him. First thing we do before we harness the horses in the mornings, we brush them down, curry them. Most important spot is the shoulders, where your collars sit on. As you brush them and curry them, you can look for abrasions or sore spots. Maybe your harness is out of adjustment and you got a sore spot someplace and it needs attention. Then we put the collar on. There's 2 ways to put the collar on. You can either slip it over his head. This is the bottom part of the collar. And this is the top. And when you slip it over his head, you put it upside down like this. And you slip it over his eyes. And then when you get behind his ears, you flip it around again. I don't like to do this because on colts especially, it makes them a little head shy. So I break the collar apart at the top. And if you do this, get your collar like this, always hang on to both sides. Because if you let the outside flop down, they'll eventually break in two in the bottom. Oh, son. You just put the collar over, get the pad over, and then buckle it to the top. Hook your rings in on your pad. When you get the collar on, the adjustment on the collar, you need room for 4 fingers between the collar and the throat. This allows the horse to get enough air. It varies on each horse. Some horses fill up the collar a little more than the others. The way you tell if you got them on a tight pull, you have somebody stand back and watch and make sure that this collar isn't up, choking the horse off, making a wrinkle in his neck. And on the sides, you should be able to run your hand snugly but freely on up and down the collar on top and bottom, even with the hames on. Now we got the collar on, we're ready for the harness. Looks a little confusing, all these buckles and straps. Take the breeching, put it on your right arm. Take the back band, put it on your right arm. Reach for the right hame with the right hand. The left hand, ready to put it on a horse. When you set your harness on, It's fairly heavy, so bring it in close to your body. Lift the right hand right up over the collar. And then scoot the britch and the back band up on his back. And then bring your hames, you fasten your hames first, and you fasten and buckle the bottom hame strap. Check for the top of your hames, make sure that your hames are level, one isn't higher than the other. Buckle this up, get it fairly snug, put your shoulder right against the tug here, and get it up so you aren't rocking the collar on the horse's neck. Buckle your hame strap, get your breast strap, bring it over, hook it in your ring. Then you put your pole strap on, just snap it right here, the breast strap, put it between the two front legs. Get your belly band. Hook your belly band up. Go back, scoot your britchin back. Hook up your quarter straps. Now we're ready for the adjustments of the harness. We'll get this bridle lines out of the way so you can see it a little better. Set it on the other side of the hame. When you adjust your harness, like I said before, you want to make sure you have 4 inches between your collar and your throat. Have room between your collar and your neck, same top and bottom, so you can move your hand freely. And then your breast strap, there should be room for the motion of the neck yoke to work back and forth, but still have it high enough so it doesn't bump his knees. And then this part here is a draft on the collar. Your tug should come right across your draft. It's the wide part of the collar where the leather pad is. Your draft should come right off that, off the point of the shoulder, between the point and the back. The draft comes back, the tug, come back to the belly band. The belly band is probably the second most important adjustment on the harness. Because if you have the belly band too tight, it will make his top of his neck sore. If you have it too loose, the slope of his shoulders, when he pulls, it'll pull the collar back and choke your horse off. You'll run out of air and you can't pull. So it's important to have the adjustment just right. And the best way to do this is to have somebody off the side, watch him pull, and there should be a slight bow in your tug. That way, it's adjusted right. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to tell. Every horse varies so much. The pull strap, when your pull straps cur ahead, should be about halfway between the belly band and his back legs. If it's too far back, it restricts the movement of his hind legs and it'll make sores on him. He's got to have free motion so he can move, travel good. And if you have it too far ahead, it'll hook up on your belly band. So when it's curved forward, it should be approximately halfway between the back legs and the belly band. And the britchin should come down past the point of the hip, but not too far down. If you get too far down, when he tries to back up, pull the wagon back, it'll pull his hind legs out from underneath him. So just get it off where it won't come back off the top of the point of the hip, and it'll set right there. Now we're ready to put the bridle on. Let's get the bridle here back on this side. You take the lines, set them up on his back, get the draw rein, put the bridle on their wrist and draw rein, undo the halter, put it back on his neck so you don't step off. On a cold or strange horse is real important. These older horses doesn't matter much. On these big horses, this horse is 17 hands, the other one's 17.2. A hand is 4 inches. When you measure a horse, it's 4 inches. This horse is about 17 hands. Sort of nice to have them trained so that they'll lower their head for you. just put your hand on top of their head. Just ask him to bring it down a little bit. It takes a little while to train him to do this. And you have to have patience and ask for a little bit and just get a little bit and then give him relief. But when he lowers his head, take the bridle. Come here, son. Get a hold with the right hand. Get a hold of the bit with the left hand. Open up. Just slide it in easy. Don't bump his teeth too much. Here. Put this ear in the bridle. Get the other ear in. Now your blinders, you want them back off the corner of the horse's eyes so he doesn't make his eyes sore. Want them wide enough so he has plenty of vision forward. And you want the brow band so there's some room there for it to work. Make sure your draw rein's back here, not underneath his ears. Come back here, fasten the draw rein up. There's a little ring here so he'll have freedom of his head. Get the draw rein strap. Make sure it's under the lines so you have the lines free to work. Get the ring, snap it in. This keeps his head in the position it should be. You want to make sure he's got room to work his head a little bit, but can't get his head down. It helps keep his head tucked. Put the throat latch on. Then we're ready to hitch 2 horses together. Come here, Dick. Come here, Dick. Oh. Now we're ready to hook our 2 horses together. We bring the check over. This is where a check hooks onto a line. The line goes on the outside of your team. Where this check hooks onto your line, from this point on, your check should be about 6 inches longer than your line. That's the good place to start out. You bring your check over, hook it to the bit. Get your other check, bring it over, hook it to the bit. I want to point out something here, a real safety feature. Some people use snaps. Now, the horses rubbed on each other. Well, the snap might get hooked in this horse's bridle or brake, and you can have a runaway. So I always like to use buckles because they're real dependable, they're solid. Might keep you from having a wreck someday. I put Prince here, he tucks his head a little better than Dick, so I put his check over Dick's check. That encourages Dick to tuck his head just a little bit more. Now we're ready to hook the wagon. Before we hook up, we're going to show you some basic parts of the wagon. Most of these parts apply to anything you hook up to. This is the neck yoke. It's 42 inches long. It goes on the end of the tongue like that. This neck yoke's the first thing you hook up to your team. It goes back against the neck yoke latch on the bottom. You never put a pin or anything in this. If you have to unhook, it's a good safety feature because the horses can walk right off the end of their tongue. Back here, we got the double tree. The neck yoke and the double tree should be the same length. These are 42 inches. That allows your horse to work parallel instead of catty-corner to each other or cockeyed. Your single tree is 36 inches long. This allows the horse enough room that you can work free between the tugs. It varies on the size of the horse. A smaller horse can take a smaller single tree. These are the butt chains here. It hooks onto the tug. The tongue from the pin, double tree pin here, to the latch and the end of the neck yoke latch is 9 feet 10 inches. The overall length of the tongue is about 12 feet 8. I guess we're ready for some horses. Ooh, back, son. Back. Ooh. We'll hook our neck yoke up. Take the end of the neck yoke, take the pull strap, hook it in the ring, hook it into the breast strap, bring it over to the other horse, do the same thing, pull strap and breast strap. Then you take the end of the tongue and bring it through the ring. Pull back, atta boys. While I'm up here in front, I want to give a few tips. Old Prince here, he's got a bad habit of opening his mouth and sticking his tongue out, so we put a little wire canvas on him. He's pretty hard on the bit, he really likes to pull on the bit. You want draft horses to get a hold of the bit, but Prince, he gets a little anxious and really gets on the bit, so this wire canvas makes him a little softer, keeps his mouth shut. If you've got fresh horses, just brought them in, you're going to start feeding cattle or something, it's a good idea to have a old driving bit around or maybe a wire canvas made. That way you got a little more control of them. With a snaffle bit like this, they like these bits, but they can just grab a hold of them and pretty well take off if they want to. Now that I've got Prince hooked up, I always hook him up first. He's the gentlest horse of the two. Then I get a hold of my lines and come back around here. Hook up the inside tug first and stay between your horse and the double tree. Don't get behind your double tree. If the horse steps forward, you might pin you in here. Get a hold of the outside. The butt chains, might point this out while I'm here. If you're helping somebody and they say drop 2 links, drop 3 links, say if you drop 3 links, you just drop them like that, hook them over the end, and then just hook that in the single tree. And just hook this in the butt hook. Good to have your horses hooked as close to your single tree as you can. You don't want them bumping their legs into the single tree, but you want them as short as you can to the wagon, get them up nice and tight. That way you don't have to worry about them walking off the end of the tongue. Well, let's get to work. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but most horses aim to please. They want to do the right thing, but you have to let them know what that is. So what you want when you're driving is the best possible communications between you and your horses. There are 2 ways to communicate. One is with voice commands, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and the other is with the lines. There are several ways to hold your lines. I hold mine coming out of the bottom of my hands with the slack up over my thumbs. No matter how you hold your lines, it is important to keep tension on your lines at all times while you're driving. Your horses should be trained to stop on a loose line. Traditionally, the driver stands on the right side of the wagon next to the brake. Normally, the smaller, faster horse works on the left, so standing on the right side gives you more control over him. We're going to give you a few pointers of working draft horses by yourself. Whoa, boys. Whoa. Whoa. A good team can be a lot of help if you're feeding cattle by yourself or going through a gate. Feeding cattle by yourself, you put the lines up on the headboard and let the horses go off by themselves, and you kick the hay off. If you go through a gate, always make sure you got your lines where you can get a hold of them handily, quick. Just put them off to the side, and whichever side you're going to stand on in the gate, just stay there and you can get a hold of the lines. Oh, son. On your voice commands, always be consistent. Don't let the horse anticipate what you're doing. If you're hitching or unhitching, make sure that he goes by your commands, not what he's thinking. Have him wait until you give a command, and always make sure you're consistent about your command. If you're going to use a certain cue for a walk, well, use it consistently, or trot for consistently. And always say, whoa, real quietly unless you need to. Raise your voice. Whoa, son. Up step, easy, boys. Whoa, whoa. Always stay on the side that you put your lines on. That was a little fast, but your horses are sensitive to the tone of your voice. They don't understand so much what you're saying as how you're saying it. If you do have to raise your voice, make sure you carry it out with authority. Safety is very important on the ranch, so I'd like to pass on a few tips that might help you avoid an injury. Remember what I said earlier about controlling a young, fresh, or waspy horse with a driving bit or wire canvas. And if you're fresh, just starting out, don't try something without good advice or education. Also, when you're driving young horses or ones you aren't used to, it's wise to keep passengers off the wagon. Kids love to ride on hay wagons, which can turn work into family fun. But kids and horses create safety problems you should keep in mind. Educate your kids to respect their big friends, even the ones that seem completely gentle. Kids should never stand in front of a hitched team or a team that's being hitched. Keep the kids in the back or side of the horses. Also, when the kids are riding on the wagon, make sure they're not in a position that they could fall and ruin the fun. I mentioned before how sensitive the team is to your voice commands. Make sure your kids and passengers are aware of your particular signals so that they don't make noises that confuse the horses. Whoa, son. Whoa. Whoa. Now we're ready to put the horses up, and we're going to show you how to do the lines up and unharness the horses. First, I have to unhook the lines from the bit. Whoa, son. Then we undo the draw rein. We bring the line up between the two hames and over the hame ring. And usually you just put the check at the bottom, drape over twice. Take the bridle off. Put it on the hame like this. Put your lines through the ring and over the hame, and it ties it all together so it stays in a nice, neat package. Cool. Now we're ready to start unharnessing the horse. We'll start from the back and work forward. It's the same as when you unhitch. You start at the back, unhitch your butt chains, go to the front, take your neck yoke off. It's the same as taking the harness off. Start at the back, the quarter straps, take it off the pole strap. Then we go up the belly band, undo the belly band, take the pull strap off, hook it on the and it all comes off right there. There are several ways to hang up a harness, but they're all basically the same idea. You hang it up just like you put it on a horse. You start out with the hames, put the hames up, the back band, and the breeching. Looks complicated, but that's about all there is to it. We're going to show you a few pointers on starting colts. This isn't complete by any means, but this is some of the things we do at the ranch. If you're a novice, don't start out with colts. Get a good gentle broke team that you can use and do something with. And then after you get the feel of a team and you want a little action, you can start with a colt. We start out with a running W. You put it around his girth. Depends on the horse. This colt's real gentle, and that's a nice way to start, but they aren't all that way. And if you got a pretty waspy colt, you might want to tie up the hind legs so you don't kick you. Just put this on like you're cinching up a saddle. Get plenty snug. Then you get the hobbles. Put one of these hobbles around each foot, front foot. Put the D to the back. Well, son, this is a real nice colt. He's sure gentle. Well, son. Oops. Ooh, son. Now we're ready for the rope. I'm going to work this colt on the left side so we tie hard and fast on the right side. Ooh, son. Step over. Step over. Step over. Step over. Ooh. Ooh, son. Atta boy. It's nice to rub these colts. Keep them gentle. We'll tie hard and fast on this side. We'll tie a bowline so we can get it undone. Might be a lot of pressure on this. Run it through a hobble. Up through the belly band. Toss it over on the other side where it's free. Oh, son. Step over. Step over. Step over. Step over. Oh, son. Come through the other hobble. And up through the ring. And you can see that makes our running W. Running W helps you have control. These colts can grab the bit and just take off, and with this running W, if you say whoa and pull him, it'll pull his front feet out from underneath him. Always make sure he's in a soft corral so you don't damage the colt. And that way, when you say whoa, you can use a little authority and make him listen. Come on, son. Come on. Come on. Atta boy. Have patience with your colts first. They don't know exactly what you want. Always walk between your lines. It's the safest spot so you don't get hung up. And don't wrap anything around your hand where you can get hung up. Things can happen pretty fast. If the colt gives us any trouble, we'll just yell whoa and pull on the running W's. It really doesn't take that much pressure to pull his feet out from underneath him when he's moving. Whoa, son, back. Pull back. Ooh, this colt's doing real good. Easy. Come on, get your line up under his hams there and encourage him a little bit. Get up. Get up. Cut it out. Whoa. Easy. You do this for 2, maybe 3 days in the corral. Make sure you can steer him, guide him, and stop him. I think we'll put the harness on, tie him into an old horse, and work him a little bit. Oh, son. Oh, son. Oh, son. Oh, kid. Here's your new working partner here. Ooh. We're going to hook them together now. Always take 2 lead ropes. One of them we hook in the halter here and tie back to the old horse's billet right here. The old horse will help you hold the colt, but if the colt pulls a wagon on him, he isn't going to stand there and take it. But if you tie him back, this old horse can help hold his head. Oh, son. And then we'll hook them together. Well, I got the colt still tied up. I'll leave him tied until the last. Oh, son. Always get over here and hook your old horse up last in case the colt makes a jump or something that doesn't bother your old horse. A guy can use a jockey stick too. It's a stick with snap on each end and put in his halter and put in the breast ring here. Helps. And you can tie their breeching together too to keep their fannies together. Now the last thing we want to do is untie our colt from the fence. This outside lead rope, we're going to run it through the breast track ring on the hame. Hook it over the hame like this. And then in case of emergency, we can just grab it and we can get a hold of the colt. Oh, son, I'm going to put this back on here. Now we're ready driving. There are several things that will help you get your colt hitched to the wagon. Earlier we tied his head back to the old horse, but that doesn't solve the problem of the tail end, which never seems to be where you want it. You can get some control by tying the two horses' tails together. This is another way a steady old horse can be a big help with a colt. Also, park your wagon in the corner so the colt doesn't have any room to move around. He's caught between the fence and the old horse. When you're hitching up, always hitch your old horse first and pay extra attention to safety. Don't get in a position where the skittish young horse can cause an injury. Oh, son. When we're working a colt, we like to use a fiberglass prod. This way you can touch the horse, not stir the old horse up, or you can get pretty severe with one of these things. It sure works good, better than a buggy whip. A buggy whip is good to have with you in case you have to get after both of them. Oh, son. But the buggy whip stirs up the old horse too. Whoa. We're going to make a little circle here, easy. Come on, kid. For the first few days, drive your colt in the corral where he has some control. Also, when you first train your colt, work him on alternate sides. You want him to feel comfortable on either side so you can team him up with any horse.
There's a lot of work to be done on the ranches of America, and about as many different ways to do it as there are good ideas. Jerry Miller has his own reasons for using draft horses with his unique feeding system.
In this area, it's a lot muddier than anywhere else I've ever lived, and for that reason, this team of horses gets the job done a lot simpler and without less frustration than anything I've ever used down here. You're not stuck. You're not worried about putting chains on with mud dripping down your eyes and your ears and your neck. And it just works a whole lot better for me. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I sure like it the way it works for me. Yeah, we've been feeding for about 6 or 7 years these draft horses, and we used to use little square bales in a wagon, and when you use them little square bale system in a wagon, the team gets to rest while you're doing all the work. You're bucking the bales on the wagon, and then you're taking it out, and you're feeding and you're working, and the team does a lot of resting. Well, with this system, the team don't rest. They're either going forwards or they're going backwards, or they're outside unrolling it for the cows. And if there's any resting to be done, I do it. And I like that part of it. The heaviest thing I lift of the morning is that harness that goes on them, and I don't lift bales tall anymore. Sure helps my back, and I like that part.
Most ranchers can't afford a different piece of equipment for every little job, so versatility is very important. Al, Jerry, and a number of other Oregon buckaroos take issue with anyone who thinks the word versatile doesn't apply to working draft horses.
One thing I like about this is it's so versatile, and around here we get quite a bit of snow sometimes, and you notice this has got runners underneath it, and when you get deep snow and it packs good, well, you can take these wheels off. It just takes a few minutes, and then you can use the runners, and that's really a slick way to do it. Then it's lower to the ground, and it slides real smooth over the ice and snow, and then when the snow lays, well, then you can put the wheels back on.
They say necessity is the mother of invention. Well, that is sure true on the Oxbow Ranch. Up here, Fay Burrell feeds with a regular wagon, which can make for some big problems in the winter. But the Oxbow hands know what to do with big problems. They get together and come up with solutions, and here's one that works.
Yeah, this bobsled, they made it right here at the shop, and it's just pipes. These runners are all just big pipe, and it's really neat. It's smooth riding, pulls easy. A little noisy if you happen to hit gravel or dirt, but other than that, it runs nice. Take half an hour to put the rack on this. This is the back end, see? You couple it on right behind that front runners, and your rack sets right up on them rims. That's about all there is to it. And away you go. Yeah, works nice.
Dave Hulick of the Bentz Ranch has his big fuzzy friends help him do just about everything you can think of, summer and winter.
When the snow starts piling up here, then we have a couple other pieces of equipment we go to start using. Well, this is our bobsled that we use 3 to 4 months a year. The main reason we use it, it pulls easy and it rides real smooth. It's easy to keep your load on. It's easy to stand on while you're feeding. It just makes a real good outfit to feed with up here. One thing you want to remember when you're feeding with a sled is always park it on some rails so that it'll be easy to start the next morning. If they get froze down, they're real hard to start the next day. They're steel-plated runners, and they'll freeze to the ground real solid, so always park them on a rail when you park them. Well, this is the other piece of equipment we was talking about earlier. It's a roller to roll the snow with in the wintertime. When the snow starts piling up around here, we get a lot of wind, and rather than to start to cat and plow drifts out that I've created from plowing snow, I just roll this and I don't have any berms for snow to drift by that way. To pull this roller, I use a 4-cart, which is just a drawbar for a team of horses, about all it amounts to. I use a gravity feed PMS tank. We use this roller. I can hook regular wagons to it. I can hook anything that you would hook to a tractor, straight drawbar on a tractor, to this 4-cart and my team of horses, which works real well for us.
Prince and Dick deserve a long vacation when the pastures finally spring to life and the feeding chores end for the year. But no such luck. As usual, there is still work to be done.
Now when you're hooking up, I use about an 8-foot log chain, and I got a slip hook in each end, so I can either hook on 2 logs, bite in the middle, or hook 1 log and then hook up short. When you're hooking up, always keep a hold of your lines. If you have to let go of your lines, cradle them in your lap like this so you can get a hold of your horse. And then just put your chain on like this, hook up, grab your single tree, and when you fix your single tree, have your hook so it swivels like this, so it doesn't flip your single tree over and foul your horse. And then hook up as close as you can. Don't hook so close that the log bumps his legs and hurts the horse. And stay out of the bite of the log. If I was on that side and the horse made a jump, he'd hit me because I'm going to be going out this way. So while I'm all ready to go, up step, Dick.
Al appreciates the peace and quiet his boys bring to the forest. Besides, they don't blow smoke, drip oil, or tear up the forest floor.
We shoe all of our own horses here on the ranch, our saddle horses and our draft horses. This is a pony shoe. This is a #1 saddle horse shoe. And this shows you what Prince is wearing. This shoe is before we get started. Oh, son. Oh, son, come here. Oh, son. These are our shoes after we work on them. We put corks on the toe and on the heels. We use borium rod for hard surfacing these corks. That helps, gives a little better traction. The one cork on this side should run parallel with your shoe, so the horse, for 2 reasons. So the horse can get a little stability sideways, and so the horse can get some relief when he twists his foot when he's got pressure on it. These are pads. We use pads in the snow so we don't get big balls on the feet and hurt his ankles. We also use truck liners sometimes. These pads are real expensive, so we use truck liners. It's real cheap, and we just put the shoe on the truck liner and cut it out and nail it on. These pads are reusable though, so that helps the price a little bit. We use number size 8 nails, and this is an 8 shoe. Draft horse shoes come in 6 and 8s both. Oh, son. If you're shoeing these big horses, they want to give you fits, they can really give you fits. We're going to show you a few pointers on how to tie their foot up. This here is a regular saddle horse hobble. You can put this around their ankle and around their forearm, keep it up. Or you can have 2 ropes, one in a loop like this and one full length. The one with the loop you put on the far side. Oh, son. Then you get the other rope, put it around the ankle, tie a bowline so it doesn't cinch up too tight. Keep it in there nice and tight. Bring it up here. Come down and cinch her right up. Give me your foot. Give me your foot. Give me your foot. And you can tie it off here with a slip knot. Just like that. You can get it off fast and easy. Now we'll go to the back end. Show you a few pointers back there. When you put a Scotch hobble on to the hind end, take your rope, bring it over the neck, tie a bowline so it doesn't slip up and choke him. Come back. This rope's nice and soft, cotton rope. It's about 40 feet long. Come back here. Get your horse to step over. Prince. Back under his ankle. Bring your rope through. And just pull his foot up. And tie it off. And then you can work on his foot. That's just a couple pointers on how to tie your horse's feet up. Now that we're done with the shoeing tips, I'd like to give you a few final tips on selecting a team. When you select a team, it really doesn't matter on the breed. There's good horses in every breed. The size, the color, doesn't make any difference as long as they're sound and a good, gentle team that you can get something done with. Contact a vet, have him inspect the horses before you buy them. It's very cheap to get a vet to come out and look at them, and it might make a big difference. When you get the horses, then you're going to be looking for harness and wagons and toboggans and everything we talked about in this video. Most states have a draft horse association. If you contact the associations, they'll give you a list of people to contact. There's a lot of good draft horse people out there that raise draft horses. For those of us who love horses, these draft horses are a good way to do your work. They're quiet and peaceful. You always got somebody to talk to. For the reasons we showed you in this video, draft horses make sense. And they sure work for me. Have fun.